Well, hi there. So I'm going to be making a gift bag in my sea wave stitch in the round here. And it's a really nice stitch. I really like it. It looks great for bags here. There it is. Has a lot of texture. It looks very similar in a flat panel. Okay, so the loom I'm using is from the Derice round set. It's like the Nifty Knitter. And this is the set that has, I forgot the peg count, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It's 24 pegs. And it's going to make just a perfect size to hold little gifts, a deck of cards, just about anything that you want to put in here. Make it longer, put a cell phone. You can also make a bag bigger. This is a great stitch for making a bag or for making anything actually. Now the yarn I'm using is a bulky yarn. It's a Noro yarn. It's Noro Batchy yarn. I think that they stopped making it, but they're making a similar one in bulky. This one's 100% wool. The new one they're making has a couple other fibers in it too, but it has similar color runs. But you can use any yarn that you want with this stitch, and it looks just fine. Acrylic, whatever you like to use. Okay, so this is the yarn I'm using. And I don't have the color number. If you have this yarn, I lost the tag. But you can see these are the colors in it. Okay, so I am going to take you to a video of how to cast on, and then we will come back and we will do the stitch. So we will see you in a bit. Oh, I'll quickly tell you the loom hook. It's just a loom hook from We Have a Handle on This. They're currently not making loom hooks, but they're going to again. Similar ones on Etsy. This one, though, is wood, painted wood. And there are acrylic ones on Etsy. There might be some wood ones too, but that's where you could get an ergonomic one like this. Okay, so I will take you to the video of how to cast on, and then I'll show you how to do the stitch. So I'm going to show you how to start this piece, and I'm going to show you the cast on and the first few rows before we start into the pattern. The yarn I'm using for this is Atlantis, Estelle Atlantis, and the color is Gleam. And it's a combination of yellows and creams and light taupe and copper and bronze and lots of those colors in it. And it's a bulky. And it's, I guess it's pretty close to Charisma width to give you an idea of how big a bulky it is. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is a chain cast on. So what I do is I just make a slip knot. And any way you make a slip knot's fine. It just goes on the first peg like that. And we take the loom hook, put it inside the loop, and pick up a yarn. And so that we have a loop of yarn here. I'm just going to keep this tight over here. And then I'm going to come over behind the next peg, put the working yarn through, and snug it up. Behind, working yarn through, snug it up. Behind, whoop, behind, and we caught two pegs, snug it up. Behind, snug it up. And we just do that all the way around the loom. And that's a chain cast on. It's one of the crochet cast-ons. Works really good. You can use a crochet hook to do this if you want. I find it a lot easier just to do with my hands, but if you're in a very tiny gauge loom, you might really need a hook to get your fingers in between the pegs. This cast-on can be used on any size of loom with the appropriate yarn for that gauge. I use this cast on with most of my pieces because I like the look of it. I do use other ones from time to time just because I think they go nicer with the work, but this one is nice. You don't have to worry about tightening any loops. It has a really nice appearance. And I just kind of do this weird thing when I do it because that helps me to get the right tension. But you can do it in one smooth motion too. Just the way I like to do the chain cast on. Get some more yarn out of here. Okay. Whoop. Caught this in it. There we go. And then I just plop it on the last peg. And then you notice there's a space here. You could also pop it on there, but I find it makes this really thick here. So what I've started doing is just ending right here when I do this cast on, and then just knit it off. And then we're just going to come over here and knit this to secure it. And then what I do, because there's only one piece of yarn coming here and it's thicker in here, is I take this loop that I had left and put it over here, and then I just knit it over. And that makes it blend in better. At least that's what I think. And also this is partially secured already, so it will stay tighter and not loosen up on you now, which sometimes happens. Okay, so what we're going to do with this stitch, and I've already done one knit stitch here, is we're just going to do a row of U-knit. So a row of U-knit right after the cast on. This completes the cast on part of it. And a U-knit is just over the peg like that and knit it off. If you're doing this pattern, I'd be pretty sure you already know how to U-knit, but just in case. And it gives you one of the, well, the real knit stitches, really, since E-wrap is a twisted knit, and it's the same as knitting through the back loop and needle knitting. But these all give you the V stitch, which is the knit stitch. And this yarn has lots of nice color changes. I really like it. Oh, it's 50% wool and 50% acrylic. So really nice to work with, unless you're one of those people that's allergic to wool. But if you're not, it's beautiful to work with. It just glides on. And we must almost be back there. If it's, yeah, we're almost back there. I was going to pause it if it was still a long ways. And I will do that on some of these rows just because it's going to really take up a lot of length in the video. Okay, whoop, this is loose because it's this one right here. Okay, now what we're going to do is a row of purl. So just go down, pull a loop up and do that. I'll do it slower, but you should know how to purl. So we're just going to put this in just like the same way when we cast on. We came in through here. Now we're going to take this loop and pull it up just like we did with the cast on, except we're going to take everything off here and then just put the loop back on. You just put it right over like that. And that's all there is to a purl. So we're just going to purl all the way around. Just want to have a good strong non-curling base. And of course, when we cast off, we're going to do the same thing. Do the same row as we did here so it matches. Okay, I'm going to put it on pause while I go around and do the purl. Okay, so I completed my row of purl. So after cast on, you can go right into the stitch, and the first row is owl eye. So whatever peg you're on peg 1, and you go over 1 and 2. You're on peg 1, you go over 1 and 2, keeping it nice and loose. Or maybe not that loose that I'm not holding on to this working yarn. Okay, over 1 and 2, keeping it loose. Making sure I'm keeping this in the frame here. Okay, over 1 and 2, nice and loose. And you just keep going around the loom like this till you get to the end of the row, and then I'll show you the next stitch. Just a 2-row pattern. So I'll meet you up at the end of the row. Okay, so I'm coming up to the end of the row, which ends right there. So I go over 1 and 2. I'm going to show you how to end it. Over 1 and 2. And then over 1 and 2. And this is the last peg before the new row. So we do this, and then we come around and do the second stitch on here, but this one keep tighter. And that's because we're going from one stitch to the other, and we don't want to get a jog. And this doesn't give much of a jog, so if you just keep it a little tighter, you won't see a jog. So we go over the second stitch, and then we're ready to start the new stitch. And just to show you, this is it going down, and you don't see any holes. It doesn't give you a jog if you keep it tight at all. So it's very nice that way. Now the second row, we come right in here, do an E-wrap, and then come under, pick up this yarn, and flip it over. So it's a purl over, but done from an E-wraps instead of a U-knit. So you E-wrap it, come under, scoop it up, and then just flip it over and tighten it slightly. Don't get it too tight or it'll get too hard to knit off. The only one you want tight is that one, the first one that you do, so you can make that one a little tighter by pulling on this one. But I did it pretty tight anyway, so that's all you do. And we'll get here real close, and you can look, okay? And there's the peg. We do an E-wrap, come from the bottom, scoop it under, and then just flip it over, okay? And tighten it slightly. E-wrap from the bottom, scoop it up, and flip it over. And I just do this, and I don't really have to tighten it much, but depending on the yarn, it'll be easier or harder to just flip over. Okay, I'll show you the mechanics again though. You E-wrap it, come from the bottom, go over, scoop up that loop, and flip it over, and just snug it up. Okay, so that's all there is to it. If you've got a nice yarn like this, that's not too tight and not too fragile, it's pretty easy to just go like this and go zipping along doing it. Okay, but depending on your yarn and your learning curve, you go behind it in an E-wrap, go under it, scoop it up, flip it over. Okay, do a couple more for you. E-wrap, come under, scoop it up, flip it over, snug it slightly. And you're just going to do that all the way around the loom, and I'll meet you up in the last peg to show you how we go into the first stitch again, the owl eye stitch. Okay, I will meet you there. Okay, I'm almost at the end of the row, so E-wrapping and then coming in and scooping it over. Snugging it, E-wrap, come in, scoop it up, knit it over, keep this one a bit tighter. Then you come over to do the owl eye, and the very first stitch on the owl eye, you knit it over, you come back around and then go over two, because there's always two knits on a peg. Okay, come around. And that's it. And that's how you do it. And you just keep going until you get it long enough. And then I'll meet you up when it's time to do the bind off that I'm going to do with this. So we will see you in a bit. So I've got this now as long as I want it to be. So I'm going to take you to a bind off video I have made. And then we'll do the drawstring at the end. See you in a bit. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and we're going to do a very stretchy bind off so that we can get it looking like it does at the beginning of the piece. So I went around the loom with the yarn 2.5 times. You can go up to 3 if you'd like, and then I cut it. So that's how much yarn I have to do this with. You can always use extra yarn because you can always cut it off, but I found I never go over the 2.5 times around. Okay, and so then we just get a good needle, and I've got a nice short needle with a great big eye here. I like this needle. And then we get the yarn through it. You can also use a loom hook, but I find a needle a lot easier. Okay, so we're just going to make sure our stitch here is tight, and this is where we're starting. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going up the stitch that we just came from, and then we're going to tighten that, and then we're going to go behind it, and we're going to go down the next stitch and just pull the yarn through. Make sure you're on this side of the loop, or else you'll be pulling it through the loop, and you don't want that. Okay? Okay. And then what I'm going to do is go up this one once more. Because this is just my starting place. And then I'm going to go behind this one, and I'm going to go down the new peg. And this is the pattern all the way now. We're just going to go down the new peg, pull it through, and tighten it, and go up the old peg. It gets easier once the yarn gets shorter. Okay, and then we're going to go behind the peg that was the new peg. A little bit awkward here for me. Okay, so we went behind this peg, and we're going to go down the new peg. Pull it tight. And up the old peg. Okay, so we're going to go behind, and that's the peg that was new last time, and then we're going to go down the new peg, whoop, and up the old peg. And behind and down the new peg. Now, if you have a yarn that frays really easy and this process frays it while you're doing this, then that's okay. You can cut that off, secure it with a knot and weave it in later, and then you can just add a new yarn and go. You can tie it on to the end that you cut off if it's not too badly frayed, and then sew it all in later. But however you'd like to do that, that's a way to do it if you're fraying. This yarn doesn't fray, so I'm using a nice long yarn. But just a tip, because sometimes you'll get a yarn that will not like the process of binding off. I seem to be tangled here in my wire. Okay, we got it off now. Okay, so here we are. So if you have to stop in the process, you look at where you are and you see the yarns coming out of here. So that means that was the last one you worked. So you're going to go behind and go down the new peg. And up the old peg. Okay, and behind and down. And up. Okay, so I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit and then we can catch up. Okay, so I've got, I'm almost to the end here. And this is a lot shorter now. Okay, so here I am and I'm going behind the peg and I'm going down. Okay, now it's much easier down and up and behind. Tightening it, down, up, and behind, down, up, behind. So it's not really hard to do, except this one, because I have a little bit of a knot there that developed. Okay, and then up, and behind, down, and up. And behind and down there you go and up and behind and down and up and behind and down. Like, there we go, because I'm at the end. So basically now I've connected every peg. They're all connected. So I'm just going to leave this here to actually do a knot, or I could do a knot right now because it's important to do a knot to secure it. I sometimes do it at the end, but I'm just going to do it now. So we're just going to do a whoop, there, a knot. There we go. And then I will be weaving in that end, turning it in so you don't see the knot, and weaving it in after. But now we can take the needle off, and we can take our loom hook again, and then we can just start taking off the pegs. And we just take them off all the way around the loom. Some of them will be tighter. I find if I go the opposite way, it's looser and easier to take it off. So I'll go back the way that I had just come. Well, this looks like kind of funny big loops right now, but okay, so there we go. We just take the loom off now. And so then what we want to do is we want to stretch it. I go all the way around, stretching it. Okay, so here's the bottom, all joined as well. I bound off and then I joined the bottom. So I'm going to take you over to the video of how to join the bottom, and then we will catch up again, and then I'll show you how to do the drawstring. Okay, so I'm going to take you to the video of joining the bottom. And make sure that you've got it nice and straight there. And then we're just going to sew it. So I come in at the very bottom here. And I have a knot in the end of this, so I'm going to come in and do that. And then all you're going to do, although you can sew this any way you like, is I'm just going to come in this side here. Okay, and then I'm going to go over to the very end over here. And I'm actually going to make sure that there, it's nice and tight. And then you've come in here, so you're going to look for the next little loop. And if you look at the side here, you're going to see that under where the end is, there's always, see where the end attaches, you have some holes. So all you're going to do is take this and go down into the next hole, and you'll see two loops there, which is the edge. I'm picking those up. And I'm going to come over to this other side, and I'm going to go into where I came out of, just right there. And then I'm going to go down from where I came out of on this side. I'm going to go down the next hole, and you'll see that there's yarn is so thick, but there's 2 loops there. I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to go back over to where I came out on the other side. And then on this other side, I'm going to go over to the next place. Make sure I get it. There we go. 2 loops. And then I'm going to go back up. Last place I came out of. And then I'm going to go down the next place. So you can see them here, here, here. Okay. And I'm going to go down the next one. And then back over where I came out of last time. And down the next one over. And then back up where I came out of. And down the next one. Back where I came out of. And down the next one. And back where I came out of. And down the next one. That's all you do, all the way down. Okay, and right now, just I'm going to actually pull this snug. You don't have to do it till you want to do it, but I like to leave knots all the way down because I don't want this to come undone, so I'm just going to do a knot. And I'm just going to do that sporadically as I go down. So you're just going to keep going, and if you want to look at what it looks like, it's just going to be all nice and attached here. Okay, so finish, and when we get close to the edge here, we will catch up. Okay, and then when you get up to the end here, you can take out your clip and make sure you attach it really good right here. And you can look to make sure it's attached really well and tie some good knots in it. Make sure I get the absolute edge here. There. And then tie a good knot. Okay, and then you're just going to weave the ends in. Just weave it in enough to keep it secure, and you can, it's a bag, so if you want to, you can tie more knots in it. And then when you've got it all secured, you can just, and now that you've joined the bottom, I'm going to show you how to put this drawstring in, and it's a pretty cute drawstring. And you can, drawstring things up nice and tight. So there you go. And I'm just going to show you how I do that. Oh, and to really look at the drawstring, you can see it's really cute and braided. A cute little braided look to it. It's a nice drawstring. And how I did it is I just did a slip knot, put it on a peg. Okay, so the slip knot's on the peg, and then I just, oops, I have wrong thing. This looks like I was going to cast on. I do a U-wrap over it, and then I pull this and this tight. I do another U-wrap, pull this tight again. You want to make sure that that braid is nice and tight. U-wrap, pull, U-wrap, pull, U-wrap, pull, and then once you get enough, you just have to just pull it like that. As you do it, just keep it nice and tight. You go over in your U-wrap, pull it tight, go over in your U-wrap, pull it tight, go over in your U-wrap, pull it tight. And then you're just going to keep going long enough that you go all the way around the loom, and then a bit more, about, 5 or 6 more pegs down. And then when you're done this, you're going to be pulling it to even out this braid. And then when you take it off, you're just going to take this end and put it through to make a knot. I would have to cut my yarn to do that, but I can just do it like this, I guess. But I would cut that, and then you have that. And then we'll say this is the end then. That would look like this. So when you put it through the bag, and when you're done, you just tie it into a knot, and then with a needle, just sew it through on each side and pull it through, so that it's like this at the end, and it's all one piece. So that's all I did to make the braid. Very easy. And then how I put the braid in is I didn't do it at the very top. I went down one and put it through. So to show you, I'll go down one more. So you see a hole there, a hole there, a hole there. So I would have gone in, down, out, down, and just, you just keep going in an even thing through where you see the holes between the stitches. And I just kept going in and out all the way around. And then when I got around, that's when I tied the knot, tied them together, and put each end through so it would be a continuous loop and you wouldn't see the end. And then there's your drawstring. Okay, so that's how I do my drawstrings, and it works really good. And it's a cute little bag. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, bye.